Hey, what's up, good people? I'm QC. Welcome to this live stream for Talking and Grubbing. Now, I've been wanting to do this for a while, but I've been so busy dealing with some stuff, and I never found time to do it. So I'm doing this right now. I figured, what better time to do it right now at the start of the NBA playoffs? But I'm about to grub on a little something that a lot of y'all not familiar with. I was at my Family Dollar today and I ran across this. This is the new Reese's Puffs cereal bars made with real Reese's peanut butter. You can get this at, like I said, at any Family Dollar or at any Walmart or Target. So I'm about to grub on a couple of these right now for this live stream. And for those of you that are in the chat watching this video, welcome. Once you get in here, like the video and join me in the chat. Cleveland, what's up? Cleveland CBI, what's up? I definitely keep your idea in mind. That definitely sounds like a good one. Doing videos about the legends like Bird, Magic, Isaiah, as well as Kerr, Phil Jackson, Pat Riley. Because it's funny that the Hall of Fame players have not had success after they retired, but the guys who were role players had the success, like Phil Jackson, who won 11, but he was a role player with the Knicks. Steve Kerr, he was a role player his whole career, and he's won 3 championships as a head coach. So yeah, that is pretty ironic. These are good, y'all. If you ever see at your local Family Dollar or Walmart, you gotta buy these. About to rub on the next one. Come on, go. Get open. You can run, but you can't hide. Okay, let me spread the word on Twitter that I'm live right now. Okay. Gotta get one more. Now, this video that I've been wanting to do for the last couple of months is about the Golden State Warriors. T. Congress, what's up, bruh? Now, a lot of people, even people that I know, think it's a foregone conclusion that the Golden State Warriors are going to pull off the three-peat. Yes, they're very talented, well coached, but in my opinion, I've been telling people that I feel that their chances of three-peat are 50-50. Because this is going to be their toughest playoffs yet. You know, they're not going to steamroll teams like they've done the past few years. You know, the NBA has gotten better. The West has gotten better and a whole lot tougher. You know, look at the Rockets last year. They pushed them to Game 7. And in my opinion, if it wasn't for Chris Paul being injured, they would have knocked off the Warriors in 6. Plus, the NBA has caught up to their whole scheme now. So it's not like the new, fresh, and exciting thing anymore. Now teams have built themselves up to counteract to what they're doing. Classic Gamer, what's up, man? How you doing? Okay, Cleveland CBI. I understand you gotta run. Life happens. Good luck to your niece in her game. Just be sure to catch the playback. Okay, good. Good to hear. Okay, my brother Chief Congress says, I don't know if the Warriors will three-peat this year as the Magic upset the Raptors. So I sat and thought long and hard about this. And I came up with the top 3 reasons why the Warriors will three-peat and the top 3 reasons why the Warriors won't repeat. So I'm going to start with my top 3 reasons. Number 1, I call them the Monstars. The Warriors, their starting 5 is filled with 5 All-Stars. You know, KD, Steph, Clay, Draymond Green, DeMarcus Cousins, all of them have multiple All-Star appearances. Also, any of them can hurt you in points, rebounds, and assists by double digits on any given night. If they're clicking on all cylinders, they're very tough to beat. Matter of fact, I don't think I ever seen an NBA team that had a starting 5 of 5 All-Stars. If there has been, somebody in the chat, please correct me, because I just never seen that to my knowledge. Even teams like the 90s Bulls, the Showtime Lakers, the 80s Celtics, the Bad Boy Pistons, they didn't even have that many All-Stars, 5 All-Stars on one team. You know, these bars so good, y'all. Y'all gotta excuse me for these pauses. But yeah, if you match their starting 5 to any team in the league, they are definitely the Monstars. And you know, most NBA teams are just basically Michael Jordan and the Looney Tunes. I had to kick it a Space Jam reference. That was one of my favorite movies as a kid. Now, number 2, championship DNA. The Warriors, they won the last 3 out of 4 NBA championships in 2015, 2017, and last year. They lost in 2016 to the Cleveland Cavaliers when they committed the biggest choke job in NBA history by taking a 3-1 lead. Now, people are going to say, well, if Draymond wouldn't have been suspended, you know, that the Warriors would have won. Yeah, Bogut was hurt. I give you that. But Draymond came back for the final 2 games, and they still lost. So what does that tell you? Okay. But as former Houston Rockets coach Rudy Tomjanovich said, never underestimate the heart of a champion. And the Warriors, they definitely have that championship heart, that championship DNA. They've been in a lot of adverse situations over this 4-year run. You know, last year being down 3-2 to the Rockets. Also being down 3-1 to OKC in 2016. The only time they really didn't face any adversity was 2017, KD's first year in Golden State. Even when they won in 2015, they faced some adversity. They were down 2-1 against the Memphis Grizzlies in the second round. They were also down to the Cavs 2-1 in the NBA Finals. But they definitely had, survived that adversity and rose to the top. So like once again, as Rudy T said, you can never underestimate the heart of a champion. I ain't gonna eat one of these right now. I'm just gonna put one down in case I want it for later. I know some of y'all, damn it, stop eating all those bars, QC. I'm just playing. But yeah, you definitely never can count out a champion, no matter what. And last but not least, coaching. I'm a big fan of Steve Kerr. He's done a hell of a job ever since he took over the Warriors in 2014, when he took over for Mark Jackson. Mark Jackson also did a pretty good job with the Warriors too, and building them to the team that they were. You could see their potential even then when he was coaching. Now, what Mark Jackson had gotten the Warriors to 3 championships like Steve Kerr did, it's a big possibility because he was there from the ground up. He was there when the Warriors were straight up trash. Steph Curry wasn't Steph Curry yet. Klay Thompson wasn't Klay Thompson yet. Draymond Green wasn't Draymond Green yet. And around that time, the biggest signs they did were for Andre Iguodala and Andrew Bogut. But Steve Kerr, he has them playing unselfish ball. They always pass the ball. They're top 10 in assists every year. He definitely has the team believing in themselves, giving them that confidence. He definitely learned from the best under Greg Popovich and Phil Jackson, who are both Hall of Fame coaches. Excuse me. So, yeah, Steve Kerr has definitely proved his worth as a head coach, despite the fact that he had his failure as a GM when he was the GM of the Phoenix Suns all those years ago. But it seems like he learned from, observing some of the coaches he had in Phoenix as well to get him to this point. Now, we're going to go to the top 3 reasons why the Warriors won't three-peat. Number 1, defense. I got to look at my notes, y'all, for the stats. They are 16th in total defense. They're 3rd in opponent's field goal percentage. They're 11th in opponent's three-point percentage. Now, that's ironic. A team that can shoot the 3 as well as they can't stop other teams from shooting the 3. That's like an oxymoron. But even last year when they won the title, they were not a top 10 defensive team. Most of your NBA champions have been ranked in the top 10 in defensive efficiency, whether it was the 2011 Mavericks, the Lakers when they went back-to-back in 2009, 2010, the Miami Heat in 2006, even the Cleveland Cavaliers in 2016 were 10th in defensive efficiency. So definitely they have not been the great defensive team that they were the first 3 years. And also Boogie Cousins, he's a big defensive liability. He cannot stop other teams' big men. If I were an opposing coach or an assistant coach and I was playing against the Warriors, I would have my big man post up DeMarcus Cousins just about any time because I know he wouldn't be able to stop him. Let me look in these comments about what people are saying. Classic Gamer says, the thing that will hurt them is no bench players. I'm going to get to that in a minute. My brother T. Congress says they are not as deep as they are. Definitely, I definitely agree. Intelligence cycle. I can see someone knocking off the Warriors. Okay, who do you think could knock off the Warriors' intelligence cycle in the East or the West, or in both conferences? Give me your team. Give me your team or your teams that you think could knock off the Warriors. Now, it's ironic that the Warriors are, ranked low in a lot of defensive categories because you got basically a defensive coordinator on the sideline in Mike Brown, who comes from that Greg Popovich system, who, he was an assistant under Greg Popovich when the Spurs were playing that old school grinded out basketball, in the early 2000s when they won those first couple of championships. And even when he was the head coach of the Cleveland Cavaliers, the Cavs were top 10 every year in defensive efficiency and just about every defensive category in the NBA. So for the life of me, I can't figure out why the Warriors would be ranked so low in a lot of defensive categories. But if they don't play defense on opponents in the playoffs, then they're going to be in for a lot of long series, and that could be one of the things that stop them from pulling off the three-peat. Now, as a couple of people in the comic section said, the second reason why is their bench. And I totally agree that the Warriors are not deep as they once were, especially when they won the first 2 years of this run in 2015, 2016. They had dudes like Festus Ezeli, Maurice Spates, David Lee, Sean Livingston, Andre Iguodala were doing their thing. Everybody knows Andre Iguodala was Finals MVP in 2015. Also, you had a dude like Leandro Barbosa who was instant offense most of the time off the bench because he could definitely knock down some threes for them. Even they not even as the 2017 was with cats like David West, Matt Barnes, and all of them. Jonas Drepko, he's up and down. James Looney, he hasn't worked out pretty well so far for him. And also, they're 28th in bench scoring. Now, that's just mind-boggling because when the Warriors had a deep bench, they could either cut down a deficit or give the Warriors the lead when, Steph, Clay, and Draymond were all on the bench. They were basically like the second starting five. That's why I used to call them. They were like the expendable starting five. Okay, intelligence cycle. Yeah, their bench isn't deep. And well, in all honesty, they definitely not deep. That bench was not even deep last year. The only reason why they ended up sweeping the Cavs, one, of course, they were the more talented team, but Steph and KD really put their stamp on that series. The bench really didn't do anything until the last couple of games. But yeah, if the Warriors go up against a team with a pretty good bench, that would definitely spell disaster for them. Excuse me, because in my opinion, I always feel with any NBA championship team, you definitely gotta have a few guys off the bench that can step up for you in crucial moments in the playoffs. Like, for example, with the Mavericks in 2011. Excuse me. Jason Terry. We all know Jason Terry was doing his thing as usual. But guess who else stepped up off the bench in that series against the Heat? JJ Barea. He was knocking down shots, distributing the ball pretty well. And he even made LeBron's life uncomfortable, in that series. Then with the Heat, when they won their 2 titles in 2012 and 2013, you had dudes like Shane Battier step up off the bench, Mike Miller, you know, both of them hitting crucial shots. And definitely can't forget about Ray Allen, aka Jesus Shuttlesworth. He got game. You know, he was hitting big shots, especially the big shot in game 6 that tied the game and forced the game into overtime. So they could get to a game 7, which the Heat ultimately won. Golden State 2015, as I mentioned, you know. You had Festus Ezeli, Maurice Spates. Even David Lee gave the Warriors some good minutes in that game 3 against the Cavs. And he hadn't really played at all during the season. And definitely can't forget about the Spurs 2014 team. You had dudes like Patty Mills, who was big off the bench. Marco Bellinelli, hitting threes. The Lakers, with their, when they went back to back, you had cats like Lamar Odom, Shannon Brown, Sasha Vujacic, who was definitely big for him off the bench in those titles. I gotta get another bar, y'all. The 2008 Celtics, they definitely had some key players off their bench, like James Posey. Matter of fact, James Posey was a key factor off the bench when the Celtics made that big comeback from 20-something down in LA. He went double figures. I don't know the exact points, but I know James Posey was in double figures. Also, Eddie House, he hit big shots. PJ Brown, as well as Leon Powe. He had 25 points in game 2 against the Lakers. So a good bench for an NBA team definitely goes a long way in the playoffs because they can rest and you don't have to be so starter heavy or top heavy, as most people put it. Because if you rely on your stars to play heavy minutes in a playoff series, the deeper they advance in the playoffs, the more tired and fatigued they're going to be. I don't care how young you are or old you are. You definitely will get fatigued, especially with a team like the Warriors who've been playing basically into June for the last 4 years. That definitely fatigues the team. So a pretty good bench goes a long way. So that way, when your stars come back in, they're fresh, they're new, they're rejuvenated. And your bench definitely cuts the slack off them. The Cavs in 2016, they didn't have the best benches in the world, but it was still solid. Like Channing Frye, who could hit key shots. Richard Jefferson, who was a good perimeter defender. He had always been a good perimeter defender. He made Harrison Barnes' life pretty tough. Hell, you even had a couple of dudes that didn't play that, contributed in Dante Jones and Mo Williams, especially in that game 6 when, Cavs key players, had 3 fouls. Both of them came in and extended the lead for the Cavs instead of letting the Warriors come back and make a big run. So a pretty good bench in the NBA goes a long way. Now, last but not least, the main reason why, the third and final reason, why the Warriors won't repeat, I call it the back-to-back curse. Now, a lot of teams have gone back-to-back in sports. Like the Miami Heat, 2012, 2013. The Lakers, they went back to back in 2009, 2010, 87, 88. But it's hard for even the Patriots and the Broncos have gone back to back. But neither of those, and the Pistons, the bad boy Pistons, I'm forgetting them. But none of those teams ever pulled off the three-peat. You know why? Because it's very hard to do. It's very tough to do. It's a grind. It's a struggle for basically a 9-month period. You know, it's a 9-month grind to get to that point. That's why only a few teams have three-peated, like the Bulls twice in the 90s, the Lakers in 2001, 2000, 2001, 2002. The Celtics did it, you know, in the late 50s to the mid 60s, you know, and also in other sports. The only team that has pulled the three-peat in baseball were the New York Yankees, and they did it in 98, 99, and 2000. But that's because they had some deep. It's always the toughest, you know, especially when you've been going through these long grinds. You know, you get fatigued mentally, physically, you know. So it seems like a lot of teams are a victim of that curse. And sometimes you may just run up on better teams or hungrier teams, like the Heat did in 2014 with the Spurs. They ran up on a very motivated Spurs team who felt like they let the 2013 finals slip away in the final minutes of Game 6. So the Spurs were very motivated to get back there and finish the job, and they did. So, and like I said before, this playoffs for the Warriors is not going to be easy. They're not going to roll over teams like they did in the past. You know, the Clippers, they're a very strong team. The Rockets, you know, the Rockets is definitely going to give the Warriors a big run for their money, just like they did last year. And Western Conference Finals, it all depends who they face. Now, imagine if the Spurs can, you know, somehow get to the Western Conference Finals as a 7th seed. That team is no joke with LaMarcus Aldridge, Rudy Gay, Jonte Murray, and a whole bunch of young pieces. And you got Pop on the sideline, you know he will come up with a scheme for the Warriors. As a matter of fact, a couple of years ago, the Spurs were blowing out the Warriors in Oakland until Kawhi Leonard ended up getting hurt. And in my opinion, if Kawhi wouldn't have gotten hurt for the Spurs, either the Warriors would have lost that series or the Spurs would have at least pushed it to a 7th game. That's just my opinion. Now, anybody want to disagree with that? Hey, by all means, do so. Yeah, so it seems like teams suffer the back-to-back curse for various reasons. Like the Pistons, you know, in 90, 91, they ended up suffering it because Isaiah got injured earlier in the season. Plus, also the Bulls were hungry and were very hungry, and they finally wanted to, you know, slay the dragon in the East. You know, because the year before the Bulls took the Pistons to 7, but Scottie Pippen wasn't up to the task because he had a migraine headache, you know, in Game 7. So he really couldn't do anything. But he was healthy. You know, Michael was, you know, more stronger physically, mentally. And that whole Bulls team was just determined to knock off the Pistons. And the Pistons were very fatigued because for the last 3 or 4 years, they have been playing basically into late May into June, you know, early mid-June. So that takes a toll on your body. I don't care what anybody says, how young you are, how old you are, because I got into a debate with somebody on this on YouTube about a year or two ago over that. Okay, Intelligent Psycho, it would have been 7 games if Kawhi wasn't hurt. Spurs would have shocked people and upset Warriors. That's a big possibility. Definitely would have been. That's definitely a big possibility that the Spurs could have knocked off the Warriors in 2017. Okay, back back to the YouTube debate. I had a debate with a commenter on a YouTube video about that. He kept on saying, it wasn't about them being old. A lot of them were still in their prime. They were still in their late 20s and their early 30s. But I had to tell him, when you go through that long grind of playing in the regular season, going deep into the playoffs like the Celtics, Pistons, and even the Lakers and the Bulls had back in the day, you are going to get fatigued because, like I said, that's a 9-10 month grind on the human body. You standing up for hours at a time, running up and down the court. Sometimes you can get injuries during the season that either don't heal or they don't heal right. And then also, when you are injured, you got to sit for a while. You can't practice. You can't run. You can't even do, simple drills. So Shannon Sharpe said it best when he was doing the NFL Today. The human body is not made to play for sports. It's made to walk, stand, and sit. And that's definitely very true. It's not made for sports. If it were made for sports, then we wouldn't hear athletes getting all these injuries, or we wouldn't be hearing players in any sport, getting concussions. I know it's most common in the NFL, but there's been also MLB and NBA players who've had concussions in the past. Hell, 2016, Kevin Love had to sit out. What was it? Game 3 because he had to enter concussion protocol. Now, luckily, he didn't suffer a concussion, but still. I gotta eat this one more. This is good. These are good. Man, make sure y'all buy these new Reese Puff bars at either your local Family Dollar or your Walmart, Targets. These are good. I'm telling you, these are good. And also, some teams suffer the back-to-back curse because of complacency, entitlement, arrogance. They think everybody else is just going to lay down for them because of, them being back-to-back champions. But, if you mess around and get a team that's not afraid of you, then you're in trouble. Like the Lakers. When they were coming off of their three-peat, they ran to the San Antonio Spurs. And the Lakers had owned the Spurs the past few years in the playoffs. But then 2003 came, they showed everybody that they weren't afraid of, that they weren't afraid of the big bad Lakers anymore. So if the Warriors are not careful, if they get complacent, if they get arrogant or overconfident, if they run up on the team that's not afraid to hit them back, then guess what? There will be no three-peat, and there definitely will not be a parade in the Bay Area come June. Well, I'm going to get out of here, y'all, because I want to watch the rest of these playoffs. It was great to be on this live stream, chat with y'all. Now, like I said last night, I would definitely be. Thank you, TC. I would definitely be live streaming throughout the playoffs, giving my breakdown on each round. The conference semifinals, the conference finals, and the NBA finals until a 2019 NBA champion is crowned. So y'all can follow me on Twitter, like me on Facebook. Matter of fact, I'm gonna leave y'all my social media pages now. Definitely follow me on those. All right. Okay, left those for y'all. So yeah, once again, I thank y'all for joining me on this live stream, and I'm definitely gonna be back through the playoffs, giving my breakdowns, my previews, and my predictions of each round. I might be doing another live stream soon. Before then, y'all got my social media accounts. Just follow me on those, and you'll definitely see when I'm doing another live stream. Thank y'all for watching. If you haven't subscribed to the Talking and Grubbing Media channel, please do so. And when you do, click on the bell icon. That way you don't miss any news from me and be mad. Just let your friends and family miss those videos and let them be mad. So once again, thank y'all for watching. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday night. Go on ahead and watch the rest of these playoffs because they're going to be very good and interesting. Till next time, y'all have a good one. Love y'all to life. QC out.